Detective Comics 1042. I initially dropped out of the book when they took Peter J. Tomasi off it because I really did enjoy his run, but the majority of what he writes, I thoroughly enjoy. This kind of ended up in my collection because Ollie's has been selling these collected packs of comics for like $6. And I'm like, well, heck, why not? And this was one of them, and I'm glad that I have it. It's the tail end of an arc here, and I was like, well, why not? Let's give it a shot. And I actually had some fun reading this book. It reads like a horror comic. It was spooky season gearing up. Let's dive into downtown Gotham. In these last moments, my final thoughts. As something with sharp edges reaches across my brain. So we see that Bruce is not exactly in the right frame of mind. He is getting possessed by, I'm not 100% sure what this cat's name is, but we can see Penguin and this gentleman here are sort of testing what's happening to Batman. He goes, how will you know if the bat has the parasite Cobblepot? It's not an exact science, Worth, but we should see the madness soon. We might need to give Vile a shock for some real results. And I like the paneling, where we see Batman here with his green eyes, and then Vile here on the other side. As the creature's spine slides across my consciousness, a new mind, a new hunger. I can see it. I reach for some hold, for some part of me to stay. I can't hold on. You brought him to me. So I like how here the letterer here actually tries to add substance. And we've talked about this before where I feel like lettering is becoming a dying art. At least here they actually try to show where Batman's trying to use his mind and think, but as the thought bubbles progressively become worse and worse to where he just says, I can't hold on. And then Vile here, like I said, I haven't read the whole arc, so I'm not 100% sure who this Vile cat is, but he seems like an interesting villain. Holy crap, he's awake. I thought you were in a coma. That is mine now. We just see him chomp into the security guard, and then we kind of see these tendrils. And this reminds me of something you would see from, what was that movie called? The Faculty, where they would drop things in people's ears and make them one of the pod people. And you just kind of, even if you haven't read this series, you're at least getting an idea of what's happening. And that's enough. It's enough to make you want to be like, well, do I want to commit and go back? And then if you enjoy it, it makes you want to go forward. So for that, I can appreciate what the team here is doing. So this is the conclusion of the jury. Mariko Tamaki writing, Viktor Bogdanovic pencils, which I really enjoy his work. I love his work on the Silencer, which I promise we will eventually go over. I've said that several times, just backlog happens. This is Daniel Henriques and Viktor Bogdanovic doing the inks, Jordie Bellaire colors, Aditya Bidikar, I believe is how you pronounce that, lettering, Dan Moira doing the cover, and then, of course, all your other freaking variant covers, and then, of course, Batman created by Bill Finger with Bob Kane. And now one thing that kind of throws me is I'm not 100% sure where we are. Are we in Arkham? Are we in Blackgate? And then we see the security guards like, what happened? My guns are getting thrashed. But when we look at it, he sort of has that. If you remember from the 90s when Dark Horse crossed over with DC and they did Batman versus Alien 2, because there was two parts to it. This looks like a Joker alien. Obviously, it's armor. So I'm not 100% sure if these are supposed to be Joker bots, but Vile very much has that Aiken look of the Joker. So that's where I'm a little. But what kind of made me stick with this book as I was reading is right here where we kind of get Cthulhu Batman. I just love this panel. It is creepy, very much dark, gritty, blood red backgrounds. We can see that this is not going to be the Batman that we know. Cobblepot, the parasite took hold too quickly. We need to vacate immediately. Not until I get what you promised me. Now, no need for that. This is an unfortunate result for sure. So this guy's Worth. I don't know if he's like an independent, wealthy man, like sort of like I can't remember his first name. Savage, probably not immortal. But as we can see, the last real thought we get from Batman, where he goes rage. And then we just see him cry out, "Find him, my puppet, my creature. Find him." And then he just goes right after Worth. And he's just like, "No! You think you can touch me with the sickness? It's not human." And so it just becomes a final showdown, essentially. So we see that Worth feels like he's this untouchable person, but Vile has other machinations to use Batman for. "Stop right there. You hear me? Whatever you are, I'm still a man to fear. You think a monster puts ice in my veins? Think again, Bat." And again, pacing is awesome. I've pointed out in several modern comics where it feels like you're reading a novel where comics are supposed to be a visual medium. We see Batman fighting with what's happening with Vile controlling him. And then, of course, we just get a couple of dialogue boxes. And the artwork speaks for itself, where he says, "Whatever you are, I'm still a man to fear." You can see that even though he's trying to grab some sort of control of the situation, we see Batman, especially this thing where we get the rooftop, and then Batman. This is obviously two compositive images, but it just gives you that symbolic version that Batman is the one that is the threat here. And again, even when he pulls his gun, whatever that poison made you, no one can touch. Roll it. Now, apparently, this also features the Huntress, which I'm always been a fan of, Helena. And I guess that she got infected and was able to get away from it. Maybe we can see where Batman wants to follow Vile's commands and kill. Let's kill him now. We see how strong Batman is fighting these controls. So Oracle has to kind of come and help talk Bruce down. He's infected. He's here, but so is you, girl who sees my puppets. You die today. And so it all kind of course, comes to an end. And I feel like this book, maybe it's because I actually enjoyed reading it, but it felt quick because the story kind of just boom, boom, boom. And just the way that Helena finally is able to help Batman. And then it sort of ends on this open-ended note of what happens with Vile, even though he was defeated. How was he defeated? Read the comic. Now I feel like this, I will say that I enjoy when comics have a follow-up story. So like we finish the jury, and then we jump into this story with Deb Donovan, and she's supposed to be a reporter like Vicky Bell. And I'm going to tell you right now that I didn't really enjoy this story that much. I felt like all of this could have been dedicated to the main story. But essentially, the Red Hood has been tailing Deb Donovan. Let's talk about who made this real quick, and then we'll move forward. This is Matthew Rosenberg writing, Max Rayner doing the art, Diego Rodriguez doing the colors, Rob Lay doing the lettering, Dave. Oh my god, some of these names. I'm just going to say Dave because I don't even want to get into that. The reason I don't like this is I'm guessing that they're trying to create a new sort of ally for Red Hood. I've been so out of the modern comic game that I don't know what's really going on. But she's a rival to Vicky Bell. And, Vicky Bell's been around, God, forever. Like I was watching speaking of Lancelot here, on Tubi, the original, I can't remember the actor's name, but predates the Adam West, the old black and white Batman and Robin story. Can't remember the guy's first name. It's Laurie that played Batman. But anyway, that was like the early 40s, and Vicky Bell was a prominent character in that. So she's always had this kind of femme fatale, sultry type situation, which has always made her lovable. I say all that to say this: Deb does not have any personality, in my personal opinion. She goes, "Hungry, huh? Salad's for you. I'll soak up with some of this with the booze." People are staring. I asked if you wanted to clean yourself up before I left your place. I don't think that's why they're staring. It's Gotham. They'll get used to it. Now, the artwork's not bad. But other than Dev just kind of trading snappy rapport with Red Hood, I don't really feel any type of personality with her. She goes, well, we know Astrid Arkham faked her own death. Spoiler alert. I remember the whole Astrid Arkham thing, which we will go over. I think that was part of Tomasi's Detective Comics run. I don't remember where it was, but I remember reading about Astrid Arkham. She goes, think about it. Smart girl, well-to-do, powerful family, but a troubled past, some greased palms and some forged signatures, and she has a whole new life far away. It's the only logical explanation. And so it's just that many pages of dialogue. And I mean, look at how much talking and sitting that we get with this compared to the earlier story where there's some dialogue bubbles, but the artwork does the talking because, again, this is a visual. Sitting and talking and eating, sitting and talking and bitching. And then we get maybe one cool panel with Red Hood trying to figure out where all these people, these dead bodies, are being moved. And now, with that said, Vicky Vale actually makes an appearance. So let me kind of show the two different personalities, and you'll kind of hopefully understand why I'm not a big fan of this Donovan character. We'll make Vale's overtime pay story disappear, right? That's not how this works, Mr. Anderson. Nice try. Hey, Deb. You busy? Nope, what's up? I think I might finally be cracking this story, Vicky. That's great. What you got? You know Martin Ennerton from the mayor's office. Of course, he's the focus of my corruption story. Yeah, he might be an anonymous source now instead. What did you do? Did you just fuck me, Donovan? I had to trade with him. I'll make it up to you. He told me a whole bunch of weird stuff is about to go downtown tomorrow. What kind of weird stuff? So Vicky has always been the type where you push her right, and she'll go over the edge, but she always has a way of playing coy. And she's such a complex character. As where Dev, I don't know, maybe it's just because she's up and coming, but I don't feel like she's, for me, fleshed out enough. Maybe it's because I haven't read enough. Let me know if I'm missing something here. But yeah, I couldn't wait to get through this backstory. And even her internal monologue as she's sort of staking out this medical center to find out if Red Hood's information is correct. Because every time I meet someone who doesn't know about what a journalist actually does, it turns out they think we just do stakeouts all the time. This is actually my first. So far, it's a lot of wondering if my butt will ever wake up again and trying to figure out if anyone would notice if I peed in the street. So I think I'm doing it right. Finally, some movement. No idea who or who cares? Who cares? Oh my God, who cares? Stop talking and let's get some action. And I'm supposing maybe that this is just building up. But good God Almighty, the time it takes for the buildup, I when I was reading the main arc, other than being a little confused, I was engaged. I'm like, well, how's Helena going to help Batman? How's she going to help? And even like cuffs himself. She goes, kill her now, the hunter. It must be her. Kill her. And as he cuffs himself, he goes, no. To show how strong he is and how much of a supporting character Helena is, where she can stand on her own, but she respects Bruce and what he's taught her, bringing her out of that mob family, especially relying on Batman. If you go back and read the Robin Cry of the Huntress arc from the 90s, every character here has depth. As where Deb. Oh, look, I can smirk and talk. I can sit and talk. I can be witty and talk. Whoa, who gives a shit? Who gives a shit? So anyway, Detective Comics 1042. Minus the backstory. And don't get me wrong, Matthew Rosenberg can write good stuff, but there's times where I feel like he gets back into that. It's quirky. They're sitting and talking and sharing witty dialogue. Who cares? Who cares, dude? You go back and we'll go over it once I get off my ass and pull it out of my long box. But his latter half of his Uncanny X-Men run from, what was it, 2018, 2019, somewhere along there, freaking epic. And I feel like he got in the pocket. And I just sort of feel like he sort of veered off in this book. But the main story, thoroughly enjoyed it. And Viktor Bogdanovic, every time he's on a book, I love his artwork. And again, we will go over the Silencer. But as for Batman Detective Comics, if you want kind of a creepy sort of, I guess you would say this is Invasion of the Body Snatchers type story, this one is for you. So if you've enjoyed what you see, please first and foremost support your local comic shop or wherever you get your action figures and comics. Pick up this book. And if you've enjoyed this review, Really would appreciate if you take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. Helps the channel more than you could possibly know. And if you won't mind hitting that fancy little parasite bell next subscribe, that way as I get into more content, you guys get notified. Come to the channel, and I love talking with you on hearing your thoughts and feedback down in the comments or the socials, which I'll make sure to leave the links down in the description. So with all that said, hope you all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading, and happy hunting.